You want to know what separates the people who eventually win from the people who never do? It is not talent. It is not intelligence. It is not the family they were born into, or the opportunities they were handed, or the breaks that fell their way. It is this: the winners lost more. They failed more. They were knocked down more times, embarrassed more publicly, set back more severely. And they got up every single time. Not because getting up was easy, not because they were built differently, but because they made a decision so deep in their core that no loss could reach it. The decision that losing is not the end of the story. It is part of the story. It is, in fact, one of the most essential parts. I do not care if I lose. I have lost. I will lose again. And every time I do, I will learn something that victory could never have taught me. Every time I fall, I will get back up carrying something I did not have before I fell. This is not the speech of someone man given up and winning. This is the speech of someone who has finally understood what winning actually requires. It requires you to make peace with loss. Not accept it as a destination. Make peace with it as a teacher. And that changes everything. Let's talk about what fear of losing actually costs you. Because most people do not think about it this way. They think the fear of losing is keeping them safe. They think caution is wisdom. They think avoiding failure is the same as achieving success. It is not. It is the opposite. The fear of losing is the most expensive thing most people carry. It is the reason the business never gets started, the reason the conversation never gets had, the reason the attempt never gets made. The fear of losing does not protect you from loss. It guarantees it. Because the person who never tries has already lost everything they never pursued. They have lost it quietly, without drama, without anyone watching, but lost it completely. At least the person who tries and fails has the loss in front of them. They can see it. They can study it. They can extract from it every piece of information it contains. The person who never tries cannot even do that. Their loss is invisible, which means it is also unlearnable. Think about the things you have not done because you were afraid of failing at them. The opportunities you watched from the sideline because you were not ready to risk the embarrassment of a public attempt. The goals you kept private because naming them out loud made them vulnerable to the verdict of reality. Every one of those avoided attempts was a lesson you did not take, a classroom you did not enter, a piece of intelligence about yourself and the world that you chose comfort over collecting. Fear of losing is not caution. It is cowardice dressed in reasonable clothing, and it is stealing from you every single day. Now let us get into the real conversation, because saying loss is a teacher is easy. Every motivational poster says it. What is harder and more important is being specific about what loss actually teaches. Because if you understand what it teaches, you stop fearing it and start mining it. The first thing loss teaches you is exactly where you are, not where you think you are, not where you wish you were, where you actually are. Failure is the most accurate map available. It strips away the comfortable illusions, the ones that tell you your preparation was sufficient, your plan was solid, your effort was enough. It is not cruel to strip those illusions away. It is necessary. You cannot navigate from a false position. Loss puts you on the real map. The second thing loss teaches you is what you are actually made of, not what you are made of when things go well. Anyone looks capable when things go well. What you are made of when they do not. When the plan collapses, when the audience disappears, when the investment fails, when the relationship ends, when everything you built comes apart. That moment, that specific, brutal, unscripted moment, is the truest mirror you will ever stand in front of. And what you see there is the raw material you have to work with. The third thing loss teaches you is what needs to change, not in the world, in you. Every loss contains a specific diagnosis, a gap between what you brought and what the situation required, a weakness that comfort had been concealing, a skill that was assumed but not yet earned. This is not comfortable information, but it is the most actionable information available, because you cannot fix what you cannot see, and loss forces you to see. These are not consolation prizes. They are not things you tell yourself to feel better after a defeat. They are the actual mechanisms by which every person who ever rose from failure rose, not despite the loss, because of it, because of what it showed them that nothing else could. I want you to think about a fighter, not the one standing in the ring at the final bell with their arm raised. I want you to think about that same fighter 3 rounds earlier on the canvas, face down, hearing the count, every muscle screaming, the crowd either silent or already counting them out. In that moment, 2 things are true simultaneously. They are losing, and they are learning. They are learning how hard this opponent hits, and where, and when. They are learning where their own guard is weak. They are learning what their body does when it is pushed past the limit it trained to. They are learning things in those 10 seconds on the canvas that no sparring session, no training camp, no amount of preparation could have taught them. And when they get up, and the ones who rise always get up, they get up different. They get up with information their opponent does not know they have. They get up carrying a map of the battle that the person standing above them has not seen yet. That is what losing does when you refuse to let it be the final word. It does not just end a round. It prepares the next one. Your losses are not the record of your defeats. They are the record of your education. Every failure you have survived is a round you got through. Every setback you are still standing after is a canvas you got up from. And the person you are becoming, the one being built by every loss you refuse to surrender to, that person is more dangerous, more capable, more battle-tested than the one who never hit the floor. So what does it actually mean to rise again? Not as a metaphor, as a practice, as a daily, deliberate, unglamorous way of moving through the world after failure has visited. It means the first thing you do after a loss is not grieve the outcome. It is study it. Sit down with it while it is still raw, while the details are still sharp, while the truth of it has not yet been softened by time and self-protection. Ask, what exactly happened? Where did I overestimate myself? Where did I underestimate the challenge? What did I assume that turned out to be wrong? What would I do differently if I could walk back in tomorrow? Write the answers down, not to punish yourself, to extract the curriculum. Because the loss is going to fade. The emotion will dull. The memory will soften. But the lesson, written down while it is sharp, stays sharp. That is the asset. That is what you are taking out of the wreckage. Rising again means refusing the story that the loss defines you. A loss is an event. It is a data point. It is one chapter in a book that is not finished. The people who stay down after failure are not the ones who lost. Everyone loses. They are the ones who accepted the loss as a verdict rather than a lesson, who let a single chapter become the conclusion. Do not do that. A loss that teaches you something is not a defeat. It is tuition. And what you do with what you learned is the actual measure of who you are. Rising again means getting back into the arena before you feel ready, because you will never feel ready after a real loss. The gap between a genuine defeat and genuine readiness to try again is always uncomfortable, always. The ones who rise do not wait for the discomfort to pass. They move while they are still uncomfortable because they understand that comfort will never arrive before action, only after it. I want to say something directly to you, not to an audience. To you specifically, reading this right now. You have lost something. Maybe recently, maybe a long time ago, that still feels recent. A business that did not survive. A relationship that did not last. A version of your life that collapsed before it became what you imagined. A goal that you chased hard and watched slip through your hands despite everything you gave it. And some part of you, maybe a large part, has been using that loss as a reason to hold back. To try less visibly. To want less loudly. To protect yourself from the specific pain of caring about something and watching it fail. I understand that instinct. It is human. It is one of the most human things there is. But I need you to hear this clearly. The loss you are protecting yourself from is already happening. Every day you do not try, you lose. Quietly. Without the dignity of an attempt. Without the intelligence of a lesson. Without the chance to get back up and go again. The loss you fear is smaller than the loss you are already living. So stop protecting yourself from failure and start using it. Stop treating your past losses as evidence that you cannot win and start treating them as training for the moment you do. The fall was not the end of your story. It was preparation for a chapter that has not been written yet. Write it. Get back in. Try again, louder, with more information, with scar tissue, where the soft spots used to be. Let me be absolutely clear about where we are leaving this. I do not care if I lose, and you should not care either. Not because losing does not hurt, it does. Not because failure does not have a cost, it does. But because the alternative to risking loss is a life lived at the edge of your potential, never entering the arena, never finding out what you were actually capable of, never earning the victories that can only be earned by someone who has also tasted defeat. Losing is not the worst thing that can happen to you. The worst thing that can happen to you is that you stop trying to win. Every great fighter has been knocked down. Every great builder has watched something collapse. Every great leader has made a decision that cost them. The greatness did not exist in spite of those losses. It was forged inside them. It was built in the discipline of getting up, studying the fall, adjusting the approach, and going again with more intelligence and more fire than the first attempt carried. That is who you are, not the person who fell, the person who got up, not the version of you that failed, the version that learned, adapted, and came back harder. So rise, not when the fear is gone. Rise now with the fear in your chest and the memory of the last loss still fresh. Rise without guarantees, without certainty, without any promise that this attempt will succeed where the last one did not. Rise because you are not done. Rise because the lesson cost you too much to waste. Rise because somewhere ahead of you is a version of this story where you are still standing at the end. And the only way to reach that version is to refuse, with everything you have, to let any loss be your last word. I do not care if I lose. I will rise again, and so will you.